Good evening and welcome to Hope TV News Watch on this 6th day of July 2021. I'm Tess Njenga and my sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Glad you have joined us. Let's kick off. Kenya has received 48 billion shillings from the Global Fund organization that is expected to last 3 years starting June 2021 to June 2024. The fund is expected to help in the eradication of HIV, tuberculosis and malaria in the country. Chief Administrative Secretary for Health, Dr. Rashid Aman, who officiated the Global Fund grant signing ceremony, thanked the international body for its support in complementing the government's effort in fighting the disease. Grace Wangoi now reports.
Although the fight against malaria, HIV and tuberculosis in the country is not yet over, major milestones have been experienced in the last 2 decades through mitigated efforts from the government and international organizations. The Global Fund grant is a major international organization invested in the eradication of HIV, tuberculosis and malaria, and up to now has contributed 100 billion shillings. In a meeting attended by the Chief Administrative Secretary for Health, Dr. Rashid Aman, COG Chair Governor Martin Wambora, Red Cross Chair Dr. Asha Mohammed, and AMREF Kenya CEO Dr. Githinji Gitahi, among other stakeholders, Kenya received a 48 billion shillings grant for the period June 2021 to June 2024 from the Global Fund grant. According to Aman, through the grant which Kenya has received since 2002, there has been a steady decrease of HIV prevalence from a high of 11% in 1998 to the current level of 4.9%, with the treatment success rate among TB patients also significantly improving from 81% in 2018 to 85% in 2021. Further, the fund has ensured the availability of life-saving medication for malaria.
Over 75% of the 1.49 million people living with HIV in Kenya are on antiretroviral therapy. Impressive outcomes in TB control have also been achieved through these partnerships, especially in the last 3 years. Treatment success among the TB patients has improved from 81% in 2018 to 85% in 2021. As a result, the incidence rate has been declining by 8% annually, an indication that the current TB control interventions are effective.
Statistics indicate that 1.4 million Kenyans are living with HIV. Through the fund, Lucy Mukami, a 28-year-old mother of 3 living with HIV, has been able to empower herself and others through a mentorship program dubbed Mentor Mother, and narrates her heroic journey of raising a family which is negative of HIV.
My humble request to the government: for all health facilities in Kenya to employ mentor mothers so that HIV positive families can be reached with psychosocial support and other services provided by mentor mothers. All commodities to be availed in health facilities so that services are not interrupted at any time.
Chair of COG, Governor Martin Wambora, urged the National Treasury to swiftly release the funds to counties for proper planning and to ensure the funds have maximum impact.
We urge the National Treasury, as the principal recipient of Global Fund, to ensure timely disbursement of funds for purposes of timely implementation of these critical activities. Lastly, the civil society organization, as a principal recipient for non-state actors, is encouraged to jointly plan and implement the activities of the county government's leadership and share progress reports with the leadership on implementation of activities.
Grace Wangoi, Hope TV News Watch.
Thank you, Grace. The Chief Justice Martha Koome has presided over the proceedings of the Supreme Court as the third president of the Apex Court. CJ Koome's inaugural sitting as president of the Supreme Court settled the interpretation of the directives given by the court in the Francis Murwatetu case that declared Section 204 of the Penal Code unconstitutional in as far as it interfered with the constitutional direction of a judge to determine murder cases. The jurisprudential pace-setting signals renewed approach by the court to settle the law with certainty and predictability. The virtual sitting was also Supreme Court Judge Justice William Ouko's first sitting. Dickens Luvanda tells us more.
The Supreme Court has issued a ruling directing the judiciary sentencing policy guidelines be revised in line with the new jurisprudence in the Francis Murwatetu case.
Mandatory nature of the death sentence as provided under Section 204 of the Penal Code is hereby declared unconstitutional.
The section is out of sync with the Progressive Bill of Rights in our Constitution, and therefore the section cannot stand.
The Murwatetu judgment, which was delivered in 2017 by the Supreme Court of Kenya, declared that the mandatory death sentence was unconstitutional for the murder offense.
This matter is hereby remitted to the High Court for rehearing on sentence only on a priority basis and in conformity with this judgment.
Yes, Counsel joined.
On Tuesday, Chief Justice Martha Koome presided over the first proceedings of the Supreme Court as the third president of the court, as Justice William Ouko attended the proceedings, his first sitting as a Supreme Court judge.
Thank you, Marede.
It is during the sitting that Koome, while representing the rest of the 6 Supreme Court judges, mentioned the Francis Murwatetu case and settled the interpretation of the directives given by the court, which declared Section 204 of the Penal Code unconstitutional in as far as it interfered with the constitutional discretion of a judge to determine murder cases.
Whether the mandatory nature of the death penalty under Section 204 of the Penal Code is contrary to the Constitution. 2, whether the indeterminate life sentence was equally unconstitutional. And lastly, whether this court ought to define the parameters of life sentence. By a judgment rendered on 14th December 2017, this court, differently constituted, rendering accepted that the last 2 questions.
This now means that judges have the discretion to determine whether or not they can sentence to death a person accused of murder, a move that now deals a major blow to thousands of inmates who have been relying on the Murwatetu case to get lesser sentences. Koome says the Murwatetu judgment has brought a lot of confusion in its application, and so the direction which have been issued by the Supreme Court will help give guidelines on how it will be applied. Since December 2017, when the Murwatetu judgment was delivered, thousands of inmates have had their sentences reduced, while others have been released from jail using the said ruling. Francis Murwatetu is a convict who is currently serving a life sentence at the Committee Maximum Prison after he successfully petitioned the Supreme Court of Kenya to declare the mandatory death penalty unconstitutional. Murwatetu and his accomplice Wilson Thirimbu were convicted for the murder of Nairobi businessman and land dealer Lawrence Githinji, who was killed on February 4, 2000 in Kitengela area. Dickens Luvanda, Hope TV News Watch.
Much appreciated, Dickens. Kenya unemployment rate is still on the rise, with Kenyans who lost their jobs bearing the brunt of the pandemic. A former waitress who lost her lucrative hotel job is now grappling with the situation at her rural home in Oruba village, Migori County. Enzi Atieno, a single mother of 2, says that since she lost her job when hotels were closed last year due to the ravaging pandemic, her life and that of her children and siblings took a toll. Dolly Murigi has this story.
With more than a year into the COVID-19 pandemic in Kenya, thousands of families are struggling with deepening poverty and unemployment. The employment rate remains low and many still report that their households did not get enough to eat or are not caught up on rent payments. A survey by Charity Twaweza shows 60% of Kenyan families can no longer afford 3 meals per day. In Oruba village in Migori town, Enzi Atieno is struggling to make all ends meet. She was a waitress in a hotel in Malindi, but lost a lucrative job when COVID-19 struck the country. Since then, things have never been the same.
Maisha ya nyumbani ilikuwa ni shida kabisa. Juu hakuna venye tunaweza pata pesa kuja kujisaidia. Sasa hapa nyumbani ni kazi tu kidogo kidogo ya kwenda shamba hizo. Lakini si rahisi vile juu hakuna venye tunapata pesa ya kujisaidia.
Coming back home last year due to the ravaging pandemic, her life and that of her children and siblings has completely changed. She says that she used to fend for herself and her children, and also her siblings used to depend on her for payment of school fees, food and other basic needs that used to push her life better.
Sasa tunategea tu mama ndiye anaenda kutafuta kidogo ndio tujisaidie nayo nyumbani. Nilikuwa na wasaidia watoto wetu za zingine kulipa karo, shule, hata ya kununua vitu naweza jisaidia nayo kama bini binafsi. But kwa sasa inakuwa shida, inabidi kila mtu amtege tu mama.
But since she lost her job at a hotel on the shores of the Indian Ocean, she opted to come back to a rural home in Migori County and has looked for jobs in many places across the county and the country in vain. The pandemic made her leave a training she had started on a foreign job in Saudi Arabia, as she lost the opportunity after being shortlisted for a training due to the prevailing pandemic. The pandemic made her leave a training she had started on a foreign job in Saudi Arabia, and she lost the opportunity after being shortlisted for a training due to the prevailing pandemic.
Nimemaliza hiyo training, so bado tulikuwa tunangojea passport itoke ndo twende. Nilikuwa nafanya kazi kwa hoteli Malindi, nilikuwa nafanya kama waitress before COVID ingie. Yeah. So vile hiyo COVID-19 nilingia kazi tukapoteza, nikarudi nyumbani.
She now does many jobs that do not make her live a better life and is as well not able to sustain her and her family members. Dolly Mirigi for Hope TV News Watch.
Thank you, Dolly, for that story. Moving on, Deputy President William Ruto today arrived in Uganda, where he was received by President Yoweri Museveni, who invited him as his chief guest during the official laying of the foundation stone for a vaccine manufacturing facility in Matuga, Wakiso district. Speaking at the event, Ruto said Kenya is keen on building partnerships with other African countries to move the continent away from only packaging and labeling of drugs to the restructuring of its market to focus more on upstream production. According to him, the commitment to buying locally manufactured vaccine doses at a large scale will ease African countries' import bills, enhance their export earnings, and sustainably boost the ordinary person's health status. The Ministry of Health has reported that 400 people have tested positive from a sample size of 5,068 tested in the last 24 hours to COVID-19. The positivity rate is now 7.9%. Total confirmed positive cases are now 186,453, and cumulative tests so far conducted are 1,989,066. 354 patients have recovered, 259 from the home-based and isolation care program, while 95 are from various health facilities. Total recoveries now stand at 129,165, out of which 93,650 are from home-based care and isolation program, while 35,515 are from various health facilities. 7 patients have succumbed to the disease, all of them being late deaths reported after conducting facility record audits on diverse dates in the month of June 2021. The cumulative fatalities now stand at 3,697. On county distribution of new cases for the top 10, Nairobi has 155, Kilifi 43, Uasin Gishu 34, Siaya 21, Kiambu 19, Busia 18, Mombasa 16, Kisumu 13, Nyamira 11, and Nakuru 11. 1,133 patients are currently admitted in various health facilities, while 5,387 patients are under the home-based isolation and care program. 113 patients are in the ICU, 30 of whom are on ventilatory support and 46 on supplemental oxygen. 37 patients are under observation. On that note, let's take our first commercial break on News Watch. Tonight, we have much more news, including a story on food safety fears. So keep it Hope TV.
Tomorrow night on Spotlight.
This year only.
Not
only
from 2006.
No, this year only. Only this year. It is 8 million. Wow. Only this year. That is Facebook. But I can't get married. I can't feed a family. It is because there is something I wanted to do for God in a unique way.
I know that you want to say no about this, but think about ministry.
So I have received up until now 3,700 messages.
Today.
The
call of God is sometimes so persistent,
very,
and so clear for some. But for some, it's rather not so clear.
Welcome back. Consumers in Kirinyaga, Kajiado, and Nairobi counties are concerned about the safety of food they are consuming, stating that they are worried that their respective county governments are not doing enough to guarantee them a favorable response to the issue. According to a study by the Consumer Grassroots Association, the level of food safety awareness as well as perceptions about sanitation in markets and hygiene standards during food transportation and preparation are the top issues that consumers are grappling with. A significant portion of horticultural products targeting consumers in Nairobi is produced in Kirinyaga and Kajiado. Alice Diana tells us more.
The Consumer Grassroots Association CGA study released on Tuesday shows that 67% of the respondents felt that their sources of food, such as major and local supermarkets, open-air markets, direct from farmers and mama mbogas, did not guarantee food safety. Interestingly, respondents who bought from major supermarkets had the highest level of confidence in the safety of food, followed by those who bought from local supermarkets. Majority of those who bought from mama mboga, direct from farmers and open-air markets had no confidence in the safety of food. Nairobi scored the least at 30%, Kajiado 32% and Kirinyaga 44% respectively in level of confidence in food markets.
Consumers care about what they eat. Consumers care about their food safety. Consumers are very much aware that sometimes when we went out there to talk to them, they were telling us, you know what, some of us, we don't know where to get food. So we only eat to satisfy our hunger, not because the food is safe. It's only that they don't have the opportunity or they don't have a means to address the issues. And that's why we went to find out and look for the best ways to assist the government or to call upon the government to address the issues and concerns from consumers.
According to the survey, 55% of the respondents were very worried, 33% slightly worried, while 12% were not worried about the safety of their food. Further, 66% of respondents felt food safety is not guaranteed in production and transportation. Respondents from Kirinyaga County expressed the highest level of confidence at 41%, followed by Kajiado at 33% and Nairobi at 28%. The methods consumers used to ensure food safety were similar in all three counties, including washing food thoroughly before cooking, ensuring food is properly cooked, and buying from trusted suppliers.
The food safety in production and transportation of the food. So, was the food produced safely or transported safely? What is the food safety situation? So if the respondents were asked whether they felt the way the food is produced and transported ensured safety. So we had 67% saying no, it does not, and 33% saying it does. So we have consumers' view on food safety in the markets. Do where we get the food ensure safety of the food we get to consume? So we have 67% of the respondents saying it does not guarantee safety, and then 33 saying it does guarantee safety.
The survey also sought to find out the level of awareness amongst consumers on one of the most pressing food safety issues, pesticide use. The survey results show that most consumers are not aware of the issues, with only 36% having received information on human food safety issues coming out of pesticide use in the past year.
Consumer awareness on the effect of pesticide use and misuse. So we can see we have the different counties. The numbers are well stipulated. We have the green bars as not aware, and then the blue as aware. So we can see in Nairobi County, most people are not aware. We can see in Kajiado County, not aware. Kirinyaga County, the not aware is very high.
Key interventions proposed in the study included public education and awareness creation, implementation, enforcement and regular monitoring of laws and policies regarding food safety, as well as development of reporting mechanisms. The survey got views from 9,592 consumers, which comprised 54% male and 46% female, aged 18 to 50, majority being 18 to 35. For Hope TV News Watch, I'm Alice Diana.
Thank you, Alice. Kakamega Governor Dr. Wycliffe Oparanya has announced plans to make all public hospitals in the country autonomous. Dr. Oparanya said this starting this financial year. The county will implement the Kakamega County Health Facilities Improvement Fund Regulations 2020 that gives county hospitals authority to be self-reliant. Speaking after visiting the Kakamega Teaching and Referral Hospital, Oparanya said the new regulations will make public hospitals financially stable to manage their health programs, unlike in the past when they relied on the county treasury for funding.
Cash flow has affected that ministry, and that's why we have said now we form a special fund. From July this year, there must be a special fund to run hospitals. So money from hospitals should go back 100% to hospitals, so that there is no mix-up, so that we know if there are no salaries, there are no salaries. Don't take hospital money to pay salaries to people who sit in the office doing nothing. Because people, every day, they are sick.
Kakamega has therefore now gone a step further to implement this act that was passed in 2020. So starting this July, that act now comes into full implementation, where now all facilities that generate any income now will have the income remaining at the facility, so that the facility will be able to still use that money in its normal operations. The money will not be taken to a common pool or a common account where it will now have to be decided by somebody else on how to use that. So in other words, we are giving facilities autonomy. They will be operating like businesses. You generate money, you use your money.
The National Council of Church of Kenya, NCCK, has called for an immediate reversal of the emerging trend of punitive taxation of Kenyans. NCCK Nairobi region says it is disappointed by members of parliament who passed the Finance Bill 2021, which has radically increased the prices of basic consumer products, saying the rise in taxation is in essence a deliberate impoverishment of Kenyans. NCCK has called on the national and county governments to instead focus on building a production and value addition-oriented economy.
We are very disappointed by our members of parliament who passed the Finance Bill 2021, which has radically increased the prices of basic consumer products without an accompanying growth of the economy and family incomes. The rise in taxation is in essence a deliberate impoverishment of Kenyans. We call upon the national and county government to instead focus on building a production and value addition oriented economy that is premised on reduction of government expenditure. We in this regional conference have noted with regret that the youth, despite being more than 70% of our population, have largely been left out of leadership in the church and the nation. We have committed ourselves to remedy this situation by integrating youth in our internal structures and supporting those who seek political and social leadership. We also take this time to advise our youth to strongly resist those who hire them to engage in violence before, during, and after the elections. Remember that in the past, those who gave you some few coins are enjoying power and wealth. While you remain in the same state, we encourage you to use your numbers to demand for and take up decision-making positions in the political parties you support. In addition, push to have youthful candidates nominated to contest in areas where your parties are strong.
Residents in Voi, Taita Taveta County have raised concerns over the high gas prices, urging the government to intervene to rescue them from the soaring cost of living. They say the high fuel prices have already impacted them negatively on their businesses and lives, especially now when the country is faced by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Katika kujaza wamekuwa hawalalamiki, ila ushuru ulipojiongeza hii tarehe 1 mwezi wa 7 kumetuathiri sana. Hata sisi upande wa mauzo yameenda chini, kwa maana chakula saizi ni shida. Sasa mtu kujaza gas na hiyo bei yenye tunamwambia inakuwa ngumu kwake, anaona heri option yake aenda kuchukua kuni ama makaa.
Vile tunasema tusikate miti, sawa, watu wananchi hasa watumie gasi. Hii vile bei inapanda, it means kwamba sasa watu watashindwa sasa kununua hiyo gasi, wataendelea kukata miti vile naona. Kwa hivyo naomba serikali izawe vile, ndio is a government directive kupandisha hiyo gasi from 14% hasa ushuru wa gasi to 16%, ndio impact kwa bei ya gasi. Lakini naona serikali ijaribu kureview bei ya gasi, at least iwe kiwango cha chini kidogo, watu waendelee kununua gasi.
So customer akija ukimwambia gasi ni 1050, anaona kama ni hapa kwako bei ndio hiyo, but which means bei kote ni the same. So kwa wale wanatambua hawata complain, wenye wanatambua kwa gasi imepanda wanachukua bila complain.
Sasa ukiongeza bei, wale watu wote walikuwa wanatumia gas wanakimbilia kutumia makaa ama wanakimbilia kutumia mafuta taa, na wanapokimbilia tunapata watu wengi wakikimbilia kutumia makaa. Obvious watu wengi wataanza kukata misitu watu wengi wataanza kuharibu mazingira wakikatakata misitu, na hiyo ni kuharibu mazingira. Huko ndiko kuharibu. Maana yake sasa hii watu wengi wamekimbilia makaa. Obvious wale watu walikuwa wanachukua gas, kama hata mimi. Obvious nitakimbilia makaa. Siwezi afford gas.
Across borders in Ivory Coast, volunteer health officers have been carrying out a government initiative to vaccinate more people. The latest bid saw the officers pitch camp at the Ivory Coast's financial capital of Abidjan, where traders who volunteered received the jab. The officers from the health ministry say that with the vaccination of more Ivorians, it will guard against a possible third wave of infection which most African countries are dealing with. The Ivorian health authorities will continue administering the COVID-19 jab in the coming days with an aim of reaching 130 markets in Abidjan. Further afield, in efforts to return to normalcy, the British government has announced that it will from July 12 to remove some of the mandatory protocols set in place against the spread of the virus. In a press conference, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said that the relaxing of the stringent measures comes after more than 45 million adults were vaccinated. He has said that the responsibility of implementing the guidelines will be optional and will be carried out at the discretion of the citizens whenever they come at the risk of infection. Johnson told the press that the government is keen on inoculating the entire adult population, even as he spelled out a 5-point plan that will guide moving life back to normalcy as much as possible.
Change the basic tools that we have used to control human behaviour, will move away from legal restrictions and allow people to make their own informed decisions about how to manage the virus. From step 4, we will remove all legal limits on the numbers meeting indoors and outdoors. We will allow all businesses to reopen, including nightclubs. We will lift the limit on named visitors to care homes and on numbers of people attending concerts, theatre and sports events. We will end the 1 metre plus rule on social distancing and the legal obligation to wear a face covering, although guidance will suggest where you might choose to do so, especially when cases are rising and where you come into contact with people you don't normally meet in enclosed spaces, such as obviously crowded public transport. It will no longer be necessary for government to instruct people to work from home, so employers will be able to start planning a safe return to the workplace. There will be no COVID certificate required as a condition of entry to any venue or event, although businesses and events can certainly make use of certification, and the NHS app gives you a COVID pass as one way to show your COVID status. Third, we will continue from step 4 to manage the virus with a test, trace and isolate system that is proportionate to the pandemic. You will have to self-isolate if you test positive or are told to do so by NHS Test and Trace. But we're looking to move to a different regime for fully vaccinated contacts of those testing positive and also for children.
Let's take another short commercial break on Newswatch tonight. Business and sports news is coming up.
From country music, classical quartet harmonics,
now I'm a child,
homecoming series,
for he saved the worst among
tent revival, and many more.
I'm gonna lay down my burden down by the riverside, down by the riverside.
Watch these great musical adventures on The Bill Gaither Show, featuring Gaither Vocal Band, Linda Randall,
For the God on the mountain.
and many other series like The Alaskan Cruise.
And now I'm feeling mighty fine.
These gospel favorites, recorded in front of beautiful sceneries, guaranteed to rejuvenate your love for gospel music. Bill Gaither Show, only on Hope TV, where you look and live.
Let's continue with business. Now, more than 4,000 Irish potato farmers in Molo, Kuresoi North and South sub-counties will receive 120 million shillings potato storage and seed production facility to provide high-yielding seed and cushion farmers against post-harvest losses. Nakuru County Executive Committee member for Agriculture, Dr. Immaculate Maina, says the facility is jointly financed by the county government of Nakuru to the tune of 17 million shillings, while the central government will contribute 100 million shillings and farmers through their unions will contribute 3 million shillings towards the construction of the facility at Muchore. Dr. Maina says the potato cooling plant will enable farmers to store their produce at a nominal fee during a glut of Irish potatoes as they await competitive markets to sell their produce for high profit.
Overall, the county has also been able to contract service providers, and we are actually having a session with the service providers where we are clearly telling them their mandates. They are also sharing their field experiences and some of the challenges that they are facing out there in the field. The Agricultural Council of Kenya, which has been handling two value chains, namely the potato value chain as well as the dairy value chain. We have also the Egerton University, which has come out very strongly and also handling two value chains, namely the apiculture or the beekeeping, as well as the local chicken value chain. Initially, when we profiled the already existing producer organizations, we were able to identify the 11 of them. We have producer organizations that are in the dairy value chain. A good example is the Albagon Progressive Dairy Farmers Cooperative Union, which is actually doing well. They have already expanded their initial membership from 2,000 to 4,000, and I think the numbers are still growing. We have also another producer organization known as the Bahati Sub-County Poultry Association, which is based in Bahati Ward. They have been able to increase their membership to 2,700 from an initial 450 members. So you can see those are big milestones that have been achieved.
A potato storage facility, which will be in Mishorwe. And this facility, the diagrams, the architectural diagrams are ready. We as a county have been able to put in our contribution of about 17 million shillings, and we're now looking into the national government to give us the rest of the funds to start the project. We believe that this project will be very good for the county of Nakuru, because that means that we can reduce on wastage, on post-harvest losses as far as potato is concerned.
Kenya Electricity Generating Company, KenGen, is set to benefit from its Clean Development Mechanism projects, further giving impetus to the company's efforts to combat climate change. This follows the issuance of additional 309,495 certified emissions reductions for the organization's All-Carrier 2 CDM project by the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, bringing the total amount of issued carbon credits to 550,981. Speaking on the issuance of the CER's, KenGen's Managing Director and CEO, Rebecca Miano, said climate change has become one of the biggest global environmental challenges and has created an urgent need for mitigating against its effects. This project, she added, contributes to offsetting on an annual basis, 1.5 million tons of carbon dioxide equivalent annually. The CDM projects contribute to national sustainable development by providing clean energy, which ensures improved environmental quality, positive health impacts, and increased productivity. CDM was developed as part of the output of a global concern to contribute to climate change mitigation and to foster sustainable development for non-industrialized countries. And in sports, Kenya representative in the inaugural Sekafa Championship, Vihiga Queens FC, will move to residential camp in Nairobi from tomorrow to adequately prepare for the regional competition. Coach Alex Alumira took his players through the last training at Kidundo Stadium before departing to Nairobi for residential training ahead of the championship that kicks off on the 17th of July this year in Nairobi. Speaking after the training, Alumira said the management has organized for a one-week training in Nairobi before they are handed over to FKF to take charge of further preparations and other logistics.
We expect to train at a better facility. We also expect to go somewhere where we'll acclimatize. We don't want to reach to Nairobi, and then when we are there, it sounds like we are in a foreign land. So we'll be there early enough so that the players acclimatize. As a team, right now, looking at what other teams have and what we actually need, we need something close to 5 to 6 million shillings. Yeah, because you need to motivate the players, you need the equipment, you need other programs that are a bit expensive, because after the matches you need to take the players to regenerate. There are some physiotherapy sessions that the players are supposed to go through, and they are very expensive.
Mimi naweza sema team iko poa, teamwork iko juu, morale iko juu, preparation pia iko sawa, si tuko ready for the tournament. Sai hakuna mtu akona huzuni, hiyo ilipita. So hiyo ni setback, so tunataka a comeback, kila mtu ako focused kwa hii next task. Ni feeling poa sana kwa sababu pia watu wengi watakuwa na watch, kutakuwa na scouts, pia watu watapata opportunities za kucheza huko nje pia. Mimi naweza ambia Kenyans waendelee kutupatia hiyo support na morale, na pia sisi tutajituma, tutawaangusha. Hiyo kikombe tunataka ibaki hapa home.
Tumeprepare poa, hizi wiki tumekuwa nazo juu hiyo Sekafa. Ya ligi ilitutoka, hatutaachilia ya kafu itutoke tena. Nimerecover from hiyo pena niliuza, niliangusha timu lakini nimejirecollect na kuwakilisha timu yangu poa.
And Western Stima came from 2 goals behind to force a 2-2 draw against Kariobangi Sharks in a Football Kenya Federation Premier League match at Thika Sub-County Stadium last evening. Sharks striker Eric Kapaito bagged a brace, scoring in the 15th minute and threw a penalty in the 35th minute to put Sharks 2-0 up in the contest. However, Steamers forward Vitalis Akumu reduced the deficit in the 52nd minute before Baron Okech restored parity in the 70th minute. The brace saw Kapaito take his goal tally to 18 in the Golden Boot race, 4 ahead of AFC Leopards attacker Elvis Rupia following the draw. The Sharks remain 5th on the log on 35 points, while Steamer have left Frogged League returnees Vihiga United to move 15th on 17 points, both teams having played 23 matches. The Euro 2020 action resumes tonight as two continental giants convene at the Wembley Stadium as Italy clash with old foes Spain in the Euro 2020 semi-finals, reprising the one-sided 2012 final between the nations. Both sides are intent on booking a place in the deciding game of this year's action-packed championship. Following their enthralling quarter-final win over Belgium in Munich, Italy returns to London this week to take on one of their oldest rivals, who they first met at the 1920 Olympics. The winner in tonight's action will face either England or Denmark, who play in the other semi-final tomorrow. Well, that's it for Newswatch tonight. Thank you for your valuable company. My name is Tess Jenga and my sign language interpreter is Boniface Mureithi. Let's do this again tomorrow, same place, same time. For now, have a good night and God bless you.